Hi, welcome to the Daily Try, the daily podcast that supports you on your fertility journey. My name's Lara. Today, I'm going to talk to you about advice, specifically the kind of advice that seems to really get under your skin when you're trying to get pregnant. You know the kind that take this supplement, don't drink coffee. Actually, coffee's fine. Track more, track less, relax. Stop trying so hard, just relax. Try this acupuncture protocol. Try this thing that my sister's cousin's brother's wife's niece tried, and she's pregnant. And you're just like, of course, people are offering the advice with good intentions. They want to help, they want to contribute, they want to give you a solution because it's easier than them sitting with your uncertainty. But that doesn't mean it's great to receive that advice. When you're feeling emotional, being flooded with all of these suggestions can feel more like pressure. You're like, actually, why aren't I doing that? Oh, I haven't tried that. Or maybe if I'd done that, that would have worked. Because every recommendation is kind of saying, I'm not doing enough. And then that question, that am I doing enough, becomes something that you're constantly asking yourself. And then it just becomes into this spiral of, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And suddenly, not that trying to get pregnant is fun necessarily, but what wasn't necessarily, if it wasn't pressured, it suddenly becomes pressured. And if it was pressured, it becomes even more pressured. And the internet doesn't really not help with this. And because let's face it, everyone is different. So you don't know what someone has been through to get pregnant, that wife's cousin's brother's aunt's niece, or whatever I said before. You don't know what their personal situation is. So you don't know how the thing they did worked for them versus would it work for you. And I think this is the problem with IVF as well. There is no one necessarily way that works for every single individual. And when you're getting this advice, you just think, do you really think I haven't tried that? That was going through my mind when people were telling me this stuff. It's like, I know that that's something I need to do. I don't need you to tell me. And that's really not helping me. And it becomes annoying. And then you kind of think, well, I can't be annoyed because I know they're trying to help. But at the same time, it is annoying. And at the same time, it's hard not to become annoyed. And then that's another thing to worry about. So when you're getting advice when you're trying to get pregnant, it becomes an area that you feel like you have to not only navigate how you're feeling, but how the other people are feeling when they give you what you consider to be dumb advice. Like, people ask me, actually quite recently, when my IVF didn't work, even though it's been a couple of years, they said, oh, did you think about adoption? And it's like, well, yeah, I did think about adoption, and yes, I did look into it. But again, adoption is something that varies depending on person to person, because each adoption agency has different rules and different ways of doing it. And my personal circumstances are that I'm running a startup. I don't have a lot of income. I don't have a permanent place that I live at the moment. So adopting a child is pretty much nigh on impossible, because they want you to have a steady, stable situation, and I don't have that. So it's kind of like, that they're trying to help, but it is tiring, and it makes you feel like, another thing to deal with. And I think the hard thing is to kind of nod, smile, say thanks, but then just put it out of your mind. And that's kind of the you do you situation. You need to think about yourself and what's going to work for you. And the people that are giving you this advice, they're normally not people that have actually been through the same situation as you. So it's just something they've read online, or it's someone that just wants to be kind and wants to help. And, they've heard this thing in the mythical realms of getting pregnant that might work for you, and they're passing it on. And you find that this happens I find this happens in every aspect of life. For example, I'm dating, I'm single, and I get a lot of advice around dating, and people want to know what's happening, who are you dating, and you feel like you're a performing pony, and you've got to say, oh, this is what's going on, and this is who I've been out with, and blah, blah, blah. And you feel the pressure. So when you're trying to get pregnant, it feels the same. You feel like the pressure of, you want to say you're pregnant, but you can't. So that's when you just end up not talking about it, and it gets hard. And it's very easy to spiral from there. And you need to really try and protect yourself as much as you can. So you can say, and I think you can say this in a nice way, thanks, but I don't need a miracle story at the moment. That's what you need to say in your head, but somehow you need to say it nicer to the person. So just say thanks, think, I don't need another miracle story. You need to think, it's hard. It's very hard. I lost a couple of friends doing when I did IVF because they just didn't get it. And I think this is part of it. It's that, it's trying to be honest and emotionally honest with people, but without being mean to them. But even though sometimes you feel like actually they're not really necessarily thinking about you either, because if they did, then they would think, I'm sure she has done everything. She wants this so badly that I'm sure she has tried every single thing, even if it means like, eating leaves standing on one foot in the front of the full moon. It's something you would have tried because that's how much you want it. So I think one thing to do is try and stay out of those situations. Like, you can do that easily with online, is not get engaged in the discussions, not see what everyone else is posting, and just try and do you. And I think with friends and stuff, you just need to say thanks and just cut it off and change the subject. That's probably the easiest way to deal with it. Unless you feel like, it depends how close a friend they are, unless you want to be honest with them and say, I'm just trying to get on with it at the moment. I'm trying not to think about it, and I don't really want any extra advice. Thank you. In a nice way. It's hard. I know. Even with close friends, it's hard. So, but sometimes when you're going through this, it's really about just protecting yourself and just thinking, taking that deep breath and going, I am doing the best I can with the information I've got, and using that and taking care of yourself. And that means it's trying not to go down these rabbit holes of internet searches of, if I took this latest drug, then da da da, or if I took this supplement, then da da da. Because everyone is trying to sell you something, particularly when you're trying to get pregnant. There's always, you could do this and you could do that. And some things, are genuine and do help, but other things aren't. And it's really hard to work out what does and what doesn't work. And I think that's really challenging. So for me, for example, acupuncture worked in that I felt a lot more relaxed. I know when I did my second transfer, I had acupuncture, and that was the one that took. I did a lot of other things as well, different when I did it's the first transfer. So it's probably not just the acupuncture that tips it over the edge. And I think this is the other thing. It's like, it's not necessarily one thing that will cause you to get pregnant. It's lots of things done together. So feeling more relaxed definitely helps. Acupuncture, tick. But also, looking after yourself, exercising, eating the right things, all that stuff really helps. So it's not just necessarily just one thing. If you have been trying for a while and it's not happening, then it's unlikely it's one thing. It's a combination of things together. So someone just telling you some random piece of information is not necessarily going to help the situation. So all I'm saying today is, just because people are giving you pieces of advice does not mean you have to take them. And unless it's coming from someone that actually knows your personal situation medically, then I think you can kind of take it with a grain of salt and just say, thank you, I really appreciate you thinking of me. And I'm actually focusing on this at the moment, and just don't get into the discussion. So that is my, I don't know if they're words of wisdom, but that's my thoughts for today. And I will be back tomorrow morning with the next episode. Have a wonderful day, and here is a massive hug just for you.